Welcome, folks. CIBO Power Line. We got plenty of things to do today.
Pleasure to have you.
Why now, please? We'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer by Josh Holmes. If you will lead us, please. He's coming.
Got your recite our pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this time to gather together with our friends and colleagues in business. On a day like this, it's so easy to be reminded of how blessed we are to live in this place. And we thank you that you laid out so much natural beauty here and so much resources. We ask that you would help us to be good stewards over all your creation. We thank you for the candidates that are going to speak with us today, for those currently serving. We ask that you give each of them wisdom to govern wisely. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I'd like to welcome the following elected officials and candidates. Sheriff Van Duncan.
Hey,
Buncombe County Commissioner Chairman David Gann.
hey.
Buncombe County Commissioner David King. Buncombe County Commissioner Joe Belcher. Buncombe County Commissioner Mike Fryer. Black Mountain Alderman Larry Harris. Buncombe County Board of Education member Lisa Bolton. Brian Turner, candidate for the North Carolina House 116. Ron Moore, District Attorney. Esther Manheimer, Mayor of Asheville. John Egger, candidate for the North Carolina House 115. Did I miss anybody? No?
Ellen Frost was up there. Where's she at?
All right, here we go. Catherine Morsani would like to make an announcement about Baby Debbie.
Sorry, Dan. Dan's the one thing.
That's a big step up there. Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming today and coming to the BASE Business Acceleration Site at INCA. On your table, Asheville Center for Professional Studies has our upcoming August-September events. And I think a good one for today, for people to look at is the dealing with conflict and difficult people that we're going to host in August. So definitely take a look at this, spread the word. We have August, September events coming up, and we'd love to see you guys there. So thank you, and have a good debate.
Okay, I know everyone's looking forward to hearing from the candidates for Buncombe County Commissioners. The candidates for District 2 are current Commissioner Ellen Frost and challenger Christina Merrill. The candidates for District 3 are Miranda DeBrule and Nancy Walton. The rules for today's forum are as follows. The candidates will be given 2 minutes for opening remarks. Then we will have a series of questions from CIBO. The candidates will be given 1 minute to respond, and Patty will keep candidates on time. Each candidate will be asked the same question. We will have District 2 candidates respond, then District 3 candidates. I will switch it up each time. If a candidate mentions her opponent during an answer, the opponent will be allowed 30 seconds rebuttal. The last question, each candidate will be allowed to ask her opponent one question of their choosing. So you be thinking about what you ask. If we have time, we will take questions from the audience. Although the public is present and welcome at our meetings, due to the time constraints, CIBO members will be given the first priority. But the rule is that any question asked must be asked of all candidates. We will not allow one candidate to be singled out. To close, each candidate will be given 30 seconds for final remarks. All right, let's get started. Candidates, come forward, please. It's kind of like start your race. Start your evening. First question would be from District 2.
Hold on. They took 2 minutes.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Give their, talk about it.
I understand.
You're great. Stay on track.
Yeah,
Who's running this?
you start, please. You start over here. The introduction and talk about yourself, and then we'll do the follow down.
I'm Nancy Walker. I'm Nancy Waldrop. I'm your independent voice for Buncombe County Commission District 3, and thank you for being here today, and it's an honor for me to be here today. My background is I grew up in Pennsylvania County. I attended Rosman High School, went to Western Carolina University, earned a master's degree in education, spent 30 years teaching, all of which were in Buncombe County except for the first year. And from there, I worked as in a coffee shop that I owned with my husband, and we also owned a small real estate business. And from there, I did a lot of volunteer work throughout the community, and that's what I have been doing lately with my time. I'm here today probably because of my DNA. I grew up in a family that was very political in nature. My grandfather ran for public office, my father ran for public office. And my brother encouraged me to run for this office. He told me that opportunities come to you for a reason, and that if I didn't do this, I would always regret it. I hope those words were true, especially the regret part. The other reason I'm here today is because I grew up in a family who believed very strongly in duty, honor, and service. My community was that way as well. Those were the things I was taught all through my childhood. Those were the values that were important. Duty meaning you do what needs to be done. Honor, you do what you say you will do. And service, that you leave the world a little better than you found it. And when over 100 volunteers go out and collect signatures for you, and they come up with over 4,000 signatures from people just because they want a choice, then that becomes a compelling reason to be doing what I'm doing. And it ceases to be about any reason at all except for duty, honor, and service. And then it also becomes about the belief that believing the best in people, seeing the best in people, and doing the best in people creates the best. And I believe the best is the people of Buncombe County, all of the people of Buncombe County. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Miranda DeBrule. I entered this race because I'm tired of feeling like the average, hardworking taxpayer of Buncombe County isn't being fairly represented. There are no self-serving interests here. I already have a wonderful life. I have a husband, 2 young children, and 2 fulfilling careers. I simply want to provide something different from what we're used to seeing. The people already have shown me tremendous support. they chose to unseat an incumbent by nearly a 2-to-1 margin. This undoubtedly shows that I already have bipartisan support. Keep in mind, in the primary, the unaffiliated voters have a choice. They can choose which party to vote for. I find it extremely ironic that right now I face an opponent who is a newly registered independent who didn't change her voter registration until after her husband lost the primary. My husband and I are small business owners, and I work as a nurse. This gives me the unique ability to sign the back of the paycheck and the front. Obviously, my experience in healthcare is valuable. Healthcare is the largest sector of our local economy, and it is the largest expenditure in our budget. Being in small business, like all of you CIBO members, I experience the same challenges that you all face. We know the value of a dollar. We know what it's like to stay within a budget. We know what it's like to make tough decisions. And we know if we don't keep our priorities straight, we will not be successful. As a commissioner, whether we're dealing with business regulations or private property rights, I will resist government overreach. I will also remember that the money spent by government first came out of the pockets of hardworking people like you and me. We need a change in Buncombe County. Thank you very much.
Hello, it's so good to be back. Oh, so good to see so many familiar and friendly faces. I'm Christina Kelly Merrill, and I have lived in Buncombe County for 20 years. I've been a single mom, and I'm now married, remarried, and I have 3 children who have all come through our county schools from K through 12. My 2 sons are now in their 20s, and my daughter, God bless me, is entering middle school. So I have that first-hand experience of being both volunteer in the classroom and on our ball fields for 2 decades that I would like to bring to the County Commission, because I have seen firsthand what our students are facing, what our parents are facing, and what our teachers are facing, and that's invaluable experience. I've also worked in our county for 20 years as a broadcast marketing professional. I'm an entrepreneur, and I've also been an employee, so I understand all the different ins and outs of what makes our county what it is today. And independent business is key to our county's economy, and I understand that because I bring that to the table. My passion is to help grow local business. I also want to say that one of the reasons I'm running is because I feel that we have failed our most vulnerable citizens. We do need to make a huge change. Our seniors who are on fixed incomes and our young people. A prime example of this is the recent tax rate increase that has hit hard the most vulnerable of our citizens. People who don't have extra hundreds of dollars to pay all of a sudden this extra money. And for what? To sustain a $368 million bloated budget. I would like to be your commissioner so that I could get in with a new set of eyes. I'm not a politician. I'm the mom out on the ball field. I'm the working person in our community. And I want to be the voice that is not on the commission currently, so that I can look at the budget and cut some of the fat. And there is fat to be cut, and I'm sure we'll get into some of that in just a few. And in closing, I just want to say that we need commissioners that will bring a conservative, fiscally conservative perspective to our county commission. It's so important for our future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, CIBO, for having this luncheon. I'm Ellen Frost, Vice Chair of the County Commission. And I appreciate CIBO doing this because I am very, very proud of what this commission has done. All 7 of us have worked very, very hard. Initially, you might say, when we got into office, we were really dealt a hand of lemons because we had to deal with the rebound. It wasn't our choice. We had to do it. This county lost $289 billion in assets. That was challenging. And Joe, Mike, and I, and David were all the commissioners. And we were like, oh, this is not what we thought it was going to be like. But we went through that. The onus is on us to keep a community that's strong and fair and balanced. And if you look at how our budget is, 41% of our budget is $369 million is devoted to education. Public safety, 38% of it. And human services, 20.3. That's how it breaks down. We have 92% of that budget is federal and state mandates. Federal and state mandates. Not a lot of wiggle room. But we have managed, we have added we're building 5 new schools. The incubator that AV Tech has been so strong with will help our STEM schools. We're rebuilding Isaac Dixon Elementary School. We're rebuilding the middle school. And we will get into more of these things, but I'm proud. We worked hard with our budget. It's balanced. And if you look at the values of our community, it is for everyone. Thank you.
Now for the fun part. Ellen, we'll start with you if that's okay.
Absolutely.
All right. First question. We are told that the state of North Carolina ranks in the top 10 nationally in its share towards certified teacher pay. Would you favor Buncombe County increasing its local share towards certified teacher pay in order to bring them up to the national average pay for certified teachers? Explain your answer.
In this last budget, it was a little precarious because the state hasn't come up with their budget yet, but we did elect to put in the budget a 3% increase, and we also saved 8 teaching positions. So we've done that. Teachers to me and firefighters, my daughter's a nurse, my son-in-law is a firefighter. Teachers, nurses, firefighters, public safety, they're on the front lines and sorely underpaid.
Thank you. Christina?
Well, where I stand on education, it's a core service, and I think we need to put our core services back on the top of the priority list. Education, fire and safety, as well as human services. And many of you might know that we've been at about the same rate of teacher pay for a long, long time. This isn't a new issue. This has been going on my kids have been in school for the last 20 years. So, from 26 years old all the way down to 11 years old now. So this is not a new issue. I think that Buncombe County needs to do everything that it can to make sure that our teachers are paid fairly and paid the best possible amount for what they do, which is, spend 8 to 10 hours a day with our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree. I agree with the recent decision of the commissioners to increase teacher pay. What I want to point out is Buncombe County can supplement teacher pay infinitely. We can pay teachers as much as we want. It just means the money has to be moved around. As we all know, cash is fungible, and it's all about choices. We gave the teachers a 3% pay increase. It could have been 4, 5, 6%. It's just a matter of where do we put our money. So again, I agree with the recent increase, and the sky's the limit if that's what the commissioners and the community wants. It's just a matter of where does the money go? Where does the money come from? Where is it going to go? Cash is fungible.
I certainly support the decision of the commission to fund the teacher pay. As an ex-teacher, you can't pay teachers enough for what they do. My concern with paying teachers out of the county budget would be that there has to be a sustaining source of getting that money yearly. You don't want to fund the teachers one year with a salary increase and then not have the money to do that again the next year. So whatever you fund the teachers with or any other person, you've got to be able to sustain those increases. And that would be my thought. I'll say the rest of it, but thank you.
May I have a follow-up question?
Pardon me?
Can I have a follow-up question to that?
You want to follow up answer?
Yeah. I just have a question. Okay.
So My question about teacher salaries is, that's fine to say that county government will increase them, but my question would be, what would you take away when 92% of our budget are federal and state mandates? What would you take away? Would you take away from public safety? Would you take away from human services? What would you take away to get these teacher salaries? Because as Nancy said, it's not sustaining that this can be on the back of Buncombe County. You all already pay a supplemental tax for teacher salaries. Do we want to add to that? Do we want to raise taxes for teacher salaries? What's our answer?
Okay, well, are you asking that of one person in particular?
No, let's cut this off. We need to get into our other questions.
I didn't know we could pose each other questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was an error on my part.
Okay, sorry. I
Sure. Come back down. Next question. The local Duke electric plant at Lake Julian, we have been informed that at present there is not sufficient natural gas availability to operate the plant. If the plant continues to operate using coal, in your opinion as a commissioner, should the plant be shut down or allowed to continue its operations? Explain.
Certainly, we don't want pollution. No one wants pollution. I'm sure Duke Energy doesn't want pollution. But we have to have power in the process of fixing that problem. So my opinion would be that we need to keep power supplied locally until that process can be resolved until the problem in the process can be resolved between Duke Energy and the legislature, who I think would have a decision in how that's made.
Thank you.
I want to start by saying that I love our mountains. I grew up here. I love the environment. I think everyone in this room could say that. As far as our opinion goes on the Board of Commissioners, it's really not it's not in the scope for us to make that decision. But we always have to keep in mind the financial impact of any policy, be it environmental, educational, whatever topic it is. We have to remember there is an environmental impact. But it is not in the scope of the county commissioners to decide whether Duke Energy closes that plant.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. The local Duke electric plant at Lake Julian, we have been informed that at present there is not sufficient natural gas availability to operate the plant. If the plant continues to operate using coal, in your opinion as a commissioner, should the plant be shut down or allowed to continue its operation? Explain.
That question has a lot of different threads to it, because if you're talking about natural gas, we all know this has been a hot issue lately. Fracking, that's where you get your natural gas from. No fracking is going to happen here in the mountains. It is something that is necessary to get natural gas. You have to go into the ground to get it. And I love the environment. I moved to the mountains 20 years ago because I spent most of my time outside, horseback riding, on the ball fields, you name it. Pollution is an issue to all of us and something we don't want to promote. However, if you're not going to use gas, or you don't have enough gas, and your only option is to use coal, and the coal is an issue, here's the question: what do you do? Because that plant, Duke Energy has that plant there for a reason that serves many, many people. And as Miranda said, it's not. Those are my opinions and my personal view of that whole question that has many threads. And it's not something that the county commissioners can actually make a decision on as to whether to close or leave open that plant. But we certainly can work with our representatives in Raleigh to make sure that all of our energy sources and plants are running to the best of their ability, the most efficient, and not making pollution and not hurting our environment. Thank you.
Well, we have consensus. We all love the mountains. This is about relationship building and collaboration. We have to explore all vehicles of energy, whether it's wind, solar, everything. Everything should be on the table, but this is more for the state legislature, but it's up to us to be good stewards and collaboration and be good neighbors and not have more CPS plants come to mind. So we have to be very good stewards, but this is a state level question.
Okay, Christine, you ready for another question? Do you favor allowing manufactured homes in all residentially zoned districts?
Zoning. I believe in property as a source of freedom first and foremost. I think that's what our great country was founded on. I think that zoning can be an example of government overreach. We currently have a good amount of zoning here in Buncombe County, which has hindered many homeowners and many businesses. And I think what we need to do when we make a change on the commission is relook at all the zoning, one individual situation at a time. I recall a commission meeting several years ago where a family had lived here for generations and generations and wanted their young daughter to be able to put a manufactured home on their property, and zoning had changed. So putting affordable housing on their own property was not allowed. And I think that we can't have blanket zoning laws. We need to take things individually and keep in mind first and foremost that we live in a wonderful place here in Buncombe County. If you want to live in a neighborhood with rules and restrictions, we have those. If you have lots of land, I think we need to look at zoning for manufactured housing. Thank you.
80% of Buncombe County is not zoned. It's an open use. So would I be in favor of changing them? Commissioner Belcher and I have had many, many discussions about this, and no, I don't think they need to be in every district, in every zoning area. I think we can look at it collaboratively, but let's remember 80% of this county is not zoned. And I think that's something we want to look at a little bit more.
Zoning is a hot topic, and it boils down to where do my rights stop and where do someone else's start with their property. We also like to talk about affordable housing, but at the same time, or out of the other side of our mouth, we want to make placing mobile homes on land difficult. So we have to start by having an honest discussion about affordable housing and mobile homes, all under the umbrella of zoning.
Thank you. Can you repeat the question again, just make sure I know exactly what I'm answering?
Do you favor allowing manufactured homes in all residentially zoned districts?
I would agree that we have zoning for reasons, whether everybody's happy with those zoning ordinances or not, that it is there for a reason. And I would be willing to sit down at the table with anyone to discuss where we need to have better housing. I'm not opposed to that conversation, but at this point I would concur that we need to leave the situation the way it is until we've had that conversation.
Miranda? Next question. It appears that North Carolina law allows the Register of Deeds to be an appointed position. If you win the election, would you be in favor of appointing the Buncombe County Register of Deeds or the Register of Deeds remaining an elected position? Why?
That is an office that's getting an awful lot of attention at the moment. And so maybe that, I don't know if that is where the root of the question is coming from. So people are upset about the situation that happened back in the winter with the Register of Deeds office closing. That was a unilateral decision made by a government official. That is not a good thing. What we need to do is let the Council of Local Government Affairs take a look at the situation. They can make the recommendations. I don't want to see that office. That office is becoming overly politicized. I'm open to another honest discussion about whether we need to have it become an appointment or keep it as an elected office.
Okay. Christine? Well, yes.
Okay.
Figure out where we're going that way.
That's okay. I don't mind. I would agree that we The Register of Deeds is a kind of a controversial position simply because of the nature of the job of the Register of Deeds. My thought would be that if enough people in the community want to see a change in how that position is appointed, that's a conversation that we should have. I personally don't have an opinion about that one way or the other, but like most things, I think that's best left in the hands of the people. And if people decide that they would rather see that as an appointed position than an elected position, then that's certainly worth having a conversation.
Well, let's just spell it out. Everybody's talking about the Register of Deeds closing the office for snow day, and now the county has decided to make it fair to give all county employees a day and a half off, which is going to cost $500 million. $500,000, which is a lot of money, $500,000. And that's the big issue. That's the big issue, and I think that's why this question has come up. Originally, our current Register of Deeds was appointed and subsequently won an election as an incumbent. It might be, a good idea to think about doing that again based on the past situation, giving the people of Buncombe County a say in that as well. I think that's a decision that the county commissioners need to make in conjunction with the people they represent. And it's a long conversation that needs to be had. Thank you.
I always wondered why the Register of Deeds was an elected office. Long before I knew Drew Reisinger, it's largely administrative. So with input, I could see it going either way. It's strictly an administrative position. What happened was our Register of Deeds chose to close his office. The county policy is that Buncombe County always stays open. Did I agree with this decision? No. It was his decision to make. In this situation, it's a little bit tricky because he's a department head and who would serve under the direction of County Manager Green. But he's also an elected official. We are still reviewing all policies, and it's my intent that no taxpayer dollars be spent on someone's unilateral decision.
Thank you. Ellen, hang on to that. What is the #1 issue that you feel could work with the state legislature on the benefit of Buncombe County? What is the #1 issue that you feel you could work with the state legislature on to benefit Buncombe County?
I think the biggest issue that we can work with is job creation. When we were able to secure GE, keeping that plant open and incurring potentially 1,000 jobs in Buncombe County, that was a collaborative effort with Representative Ramsey, the legislature, the governor, and Buncombe County government. Those are the kind of issues that we need to explore and continue from the very highest level of job creation, whether it's with GE or working with Mountain BizWorks to create small micro loans for small business. But job creation is something that we have been doing with the legislature and hope to continue to do.
That's a great question, and I'm glad that it was asked because there are certain things that the commissioners cannot do alone, and one of them is our roads and interstates. That is, the county actually owns no road, is in charge of no roads and interstates, so we absolutely have to work with our legislators to make sure that we're getting the money that we need, the funds that we need as our county grows. The I-26 connector is a great example of our county and our legislators working with our county to get something done that we so desperately need. I worked at Kiss Country off of Patton Avenue for years and years and went over that and avoided an accident almost every day for about a decade and saw one. So to see that actually finally coming to fruition and the legislators working with our county to make that happen, I think it's crucial that we continue that line of communication and make sure that our roads and our highways are getting the funding that they need and the attention as we grow as a county. Thank you.
The question's a little difficult because it's somewhat hypothetical. We're trying to anticipate the current events and what may or may not be going on at a given time in the future. But so that being said, I think we need to take care of the I-26 connector. It is a safety issue. It is an economic issue. It became politicized many, many years ago, over-politicized, and I believe politics played a hand in getting in the way of what we could have had. We could have had a solution years ago, I believe. So, barring any other current events, I would say we need to get on the stick with I-26.
Since the county commission serves as an arm of the state legislature, I think that any issue would be wonderful to work with the state legislature on. And then I would like to see the roads of communication between the state legislature and the commission even more open than what they are. And that would be, I think, a huge goal to work on, is to see that that happens. Because sometimes I think counties get left out of the loop, maybe because there's not enough communication, and not because people don't want it, either on the legislative side or the commission side, but because it simply doesn't happen. And I would just like to make a concerted effort to see that that does happen, because I think it's important to have it.
You're under the gun. With the influx of illegal immigrants coming into America, one national figure has stated that the immigrants, especially children, should be divided up between all the counties in the United States. If a busload of immigrants were sent to Buncombe County as a commissioner, what would be your response?
That's not a happy question. It's also a hypothetical question, so those are difficult, and I don't typically like to do hypothetical questions, but since I'm sitting here, if a busload of children came here, then we would certainly have a responsibility to do the best we could by those children. As a guardian ad litem, I know this is a huge issue with them. I was in a seminar on that just a couple of weeks ago, because currently, under the program we have now, children are separated from their parents. If the parents are here illegally, the parents can be sent home, but the children stay here with the thinking that they're going to have a better life here, but yet they're left without any parents. So this is already a huge problem. I don't think anybody has any good answers for it, but we would certainly do the best we could for those kids, to take care of them and to see that they had what they needed. And hopefully somebody will come up with some answers at the levels where those answers are coming from, which is the federal government and the state.
Thank you.
I agree with my opponent that it is a problem that was created and perpetuated at the federal level. However, it's not as hypothetical as you might think. North Carolina has already received some of these children. We don't know if they're all children, so we'll just say some of these immigrants in the state. So this could actually affect us in Buncombe County. It could be something that we are faced with as the Board of Commissioners. It is a heartbreaking situation. My heart breaks for the kids, their parents, the people that they left behind. My heart also breaks for the hundreds or thousands of people who are waiting to migrate legally. My heart breaks for them too. We always have to put the priorities of our citizens first. This will have an impact on education. These children will be put into public schools. It will have an impact on our budget because of the schools, because of healthcare costs, because of legal costs. They get paid legal representation. So it's a big issue, big problem that we could actually face here soon.
Thank you.
As far as illegal immigration is concerned, it is a federal issue, and it is extremely irresponsible to send a message to any country that it's okay to put your children in the hand of traffickers to get them across the border. These children are going through horrific experiences just to get here. And to let anybody in any country think that any county in our country is a safe haven for these children is irresponsible, because it's forcing these parents these children to go through what no child should ever have to go through. And as a county commission, what we can do legally, I'm a student of law, so I always go back to the law with these kind of questions. Legally, we can make sure that all our county employees are, we use E-Verify to make sure that we are employing legal citizens. That's the first step. I agree with Miranda that if we make Buncombe County an attractive place for illegal immigrants, it's not only going to hurt their families, their children, but it will also be a burden on our system in many ways. Thank you.
Children are children. If, for some reason, this is a very hypothetical question, children arrived here, I know Buncombe County would do what we always do. We keep our citizens strong and safe, and we would welcome them like any other child until a better solution was derived. Immigration is a huge, huge problem. Horrible, horrible problem. We could spend hours on this problem. It needs to be fixed, but you know, the hypothetical question, what would we do if children were to arrive? We would treat them as well as we could and come up with a better solution. Let's look at all of us. Would we want to send them back? Would we want to say, this 5-year-old has to go back?
Yes, send them back.
But hopefully we will be put in that position to send little children away.
You're on the gun. As a commissioner, how can you expedite the construction of I-26 connector?
As a commissioner, how can I expedite it? Well, again, it goes back to having a great relationship with our representatives in Raleigh. Going the extra mile as a county commissioner, it's supposed to be a part-time job. I had a conversation with Carol Peterson about 3 years ago, and she said if you're doing it right, it's a full-time job. And as your county commissioner, I plan to do it right. So that means that I will go the extra mile, I will make those phone calls, I will take those trips to Raleigh if need be, to make sure that we keep that communication and that relationship with our representatives in Raleigh to make sure that we're on schedule and on board with I-26. And the third part to that is making sure that the people of Buncombe County have a say in any decision making, that they're made aware of meetings and planning and every step of the way as it unfolds.
I think what this commission did in the last year, working with the city, Mayor Manheimer is here, and the city and the commission pulled together and came up with resolutions of support. We put money on the table to expedite it, and now we're in line, and we will continue to work collaboratively because I-26 must be done. And I'm very proud of the collaboration the city and the county did to expedite this.
Thank you.
I agree. I think as with most questions that come before the commission, the communication is the key to that. And I would work for further communication and better communication, not with just the state legislature, but with any other groups that are involved and concerned about how this road gets built. We definitely do need the road. We should have the road. It's a safety issue as well as an economic factor. And I would do everything I could to see that it happens as quickly as it can.
I think the fact that we've already all discussed I-26 and now we have a question on it is evidence about how important it is to this area, how important it is to the community. And at some point we have to stop talking about it and just do it.
Amen.
Thank you. Now for the fun part. This is the last question. You get to ask each other a question if you're ready. Ellen, you get the first shot for your opponent.
So what I would ask is, knowing that 92% of our budget are federal and state mandates, what would you cut to lower the tax rate? Be specific.
That's a good question. And having gone through the County School of Government, I understand that there mandates that we have to perform, and we as a county, and things that we need to meet. We do work with many nonprofits for a reason, and that reason is because a lot of those services are mandated, and a nonprofit can do it at a lower cost, and more efficiently than the county trying to build a bridge or a building from scratch. However, there are many nonprofits that are part of the budget that are not part of a mandated service. In fact, 15 nonprofits were added to the budget last year alone. So I think that's the first place to look. I love nonprofits. My church is a nonprofit. They don't get money from the county, though. And I don't think that we should take money out of the pocket of the family living on Lester Road that can't afford it. So I think we need to look at the nonprofits and look at what we absolutely need to partner with and what we don't. That's a great place to start. Early retirement might be another thought. We can look at who's eligible for early retirement, replace that job with a new entry-level position, so we would save the county money that way. I ran out of time. Add more.
Now, Christina, you get to ask Ellen a question.
Okay, so this question, actually, I asked people that I live near and constituents that we would both serve what question they'd like to ask, and so this comes from the people you represent. Do you feel any remorse or guilt at all accepting a raise and then also voting yourself a raise at the same time raising people's taxes?
The raise we're talking about is $8 a week. No, it amounts to, both raises together amount to $10 a week. Do we want to have commissioners that are only wealthy and retired to serve? This is a full-time job. This is a full-time job. When we look at cost saving, I'm glad you brought early retirement up. We are looking at early retirement. That's going to take $900 million off the table, off of our budget. As far as non-for-profits, it was $2.1 million in community grants, and those served children that were hungry, needed education, and needed food. 2.1 million out of 369 million.
Thank you. Miranda. Yes. Nancy.
Ms. Waldrop, I would like to know if you feel that it was appropriate to have accepted in-kind donations from a nonprofit organization that were not reported.
I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
The Sierra Club sent out mailers. They paid postage, and they paid for the printing. They're a nonprofit corporation, and it was not recorded on your campaign finance forms.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So I can't report what I don't know what you're talking about.
They sent out the letters.
They may have sent out letters, but I don't know that they sent out letters or to who, or as part of my campaign.
I'll show you.
That's happy.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Nancy, get to ask Miranda.
In the primary, the only issues I heard you address were those against your opponent. The one thing I did hear you say that you were for was that you would vote a Republican vote, or something to that effect, that's my quote, but a Republican vote, you would bring home a Republican vote if you were elected as commissioner. Considering the fact that you're serving all the people of Buncombe County, Republicans, Democrats, and Independents, if your concern is bringing home a Republican vote, how do you feel you can serve all the constituents? Who, if there's 3 members, Republican members on the board, which one gets to decide what that Republican vote is? And how do you arrive at those choices?
Lots of questions there. I'm not sure. Do you want to define a Republican vote? I'll I'll just pick one of the questions you asked because I really don't know what you mean. So I was running, as you well know, in a Republican primary. So discussing Republican principles was only befitting. It's all about the context. I will happily, and plan on representing everybody. Everyone is a taxpayer. Tax hikes affect us all, whether we're independents or unaffiliated, Democrats or Republicans. They affect us all. Tax cuts affect us all too. I will represent everyone fairly and equally.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Did very well. No blood on the table. Now, we got a few minutes left for a question from the audience, and we do not want it personal. We do not want it pointed to any one person. You get to ask a question, and it goes to everybody.
You choose. Mike, I have one.
Go ahead.
As we know,
Hold on.
I'll be nominated that. But
Yeah, you know that. Believe me.
as we know, fracking, hydraulic fracking has been passed in Raleigh to do some exploratory drilling here in North Carolina. And I'd like to know if they started wanting to do this in Buncombe County. And I've asked some commissioners what their opinions are, and they kind of pass it off and say, well, it's not really it's a Raleigh deal. But everything starts with a grassroots organization. Just like the power plant, you can't say, well, it's not our responsibility, it's somebody else's. It is. It is. Okay. Question is, what would you do if somebody wanted to start fracking in Buncombe County? What would your position be?
Fracking in Buncombe County, until it's further investigated that we know all the consequences of fracking, I would say we need to take that very, very slowly. It certainly, I guess, can serve a purpose in terms of that it does get the natural gas out of the ground, and that's good for economic reasons. But until we know all the ramifications of doing that, then I would suggest we move very, very slowly on that, and I would not be in favor of it until we had that discussion.
I'm not an expert on this area, but I do understand that because we live in the mountains, the fracking could never happen here because simply the depth at which they frack.
It is highly unlikely that fracking, that the mountains would be chosen as a site for fracking for that very reason. And usually fracking happens in a more of a flat land because the whole goal is to get to the gas, and it's easier to do that. So I don't think that's an issue that we will have to deal with here in our mountains.
I'm completely against fracking. The places it's happened, it's been a disaster. There's some communities in Pennsylvania where they turn their water on and fires come out. So I'm completely against fracking.
We need venture capital money in this county. There's a strong entrepreneurial movement going on. Part of it's done through AV Tech. My question to each of the commissioner candidates is, would you support an initiative to help establish a venture capital council for Buncombe County? We need it badly.
Yes, and when I look around this room, I see folks like Matthew Burrell here, great minds, and we have worked very, very hard for board jobs, but we can never work too hard, and I would certainly welcome that opportunity.
That's a great question. I was just talking yesterday to one of my businesses that I represent with their marketing here in Candler, WNC Transportation, and I said, what is your biggest issue as a business owner? And you know what she said to me? It really shocked me. She said, my biggest problem is getting employees. We pay $11 an hour to start, and we cannot get employees. And she said, you know what would help is having a program or something where we're getting people the training that they need, we're getting the venture capitalism that we need in order to get the employees aware of the jobs, A, and B, the training that they need. And that it really surprised me. It was an eye-opener because one of our biggest complaints is that we don't have enough jobs. So I think that would be important.
It sounds like an enticing idea, and I would love to sit down and talk to you and learn more about it. My husband and I, like as I've already mentioned, are small business owners. Having startup funds, it's absolutely vital for a new business.
I'm in favor of doing anything that helps with economic growth, so yes.
Time's up, folks. We're going to have to go to work. We all thank these ladies.
Yeah, closing remarks. And the first line of blood flowing.
Quiet down, please.
It's been an honor to be here. If elected as your county commissioner, it will be an honor to serve. And that's probably my 30 seconds. So thank you. I just enjoyed it. I just wanted to enjoy this. Thank you.
I want to reiterate some of my opening statements that I don't have any self-serving interest in this. I truly want to do what's best for the people, and I want to give Buncombe County, the residents in the county, a different, fresh voice. I am humbled by the support I've already been given. I love CIBO, I'm a member of CIBO. I love these forums. Usually I'm on the other side, but I appreciate you all, and I'll be happy to answer more questions or speak to any of you individually. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to let us come and speak before you. We appreciate it. You know how valuable your time is. I just want to say really quickly, we have to change the direction of this county. It's crucial. The spend more, tax more mentality has got to change. And as your county commissioner, I would be a strong voice that will stand strong on fiscally conservative principles. I appreciate your support, and I thank you for your vote.
I'd like to end where we started. I'm proud of what this commission has done, particularly in job creation. We talk about job creation when we look at and growing workers, when we look at what's going on with the STEM school in collaboration with AV Tech, when we look at how we've helped small businesses from microloans to GE, and we need to work together and get more jobs. And thank you very much. I love you. Thank you.
A really great audience. Thank you very much. Let's go to work.